Hey guys, it's Aaron with Everyday Living. I hope you learned something today. Okay, so today I want to talk about camp stoves. It's warming up, time to go camping soon. Getting all the gear out and maintenance, and I thought I'd give you my opinion on the best way to get any camp stove liquid fuel or even the propane butane combo stoves lit. A lot of folks will use lighters, or matches are nice because you can kind of throw them in there if you need to, but sometimes they get stuck down in here and then block some of your flame. But there's one way that doesn't leave anything down in there. It keeps your hands out of the way so you don't get that flash and burn all the hair off your hands. Not that you need it, but it just isn't pleasant. And that's going to be with the ferro rod. This is one of my favorite tools here. It's by Strike Force, it's called the Strike Force by Ultimate Survival Technologies. So, first, most important thing about getting this thing started, and I'm going to put just one windscreen up so this thing doesn't blow over while we're using it. Okay, so first most important thing is this rod right here is where the fuel turns from liquid to a gas. So you need to get this rod hot. If you're trying to light a stove in cold weather, this is going to be the thing that will help you out the most, is to get this rod warm. You don't want to just turn your stove on and start with it blowing in here. What you want to do, excuse me for all the noise here, you want to take this out, you want to turn this up, and you want to squirt a little bit of fuel down in here. You can see I'm dripping some fuel down in this burner plate here. Because what you're going to do, you're going to turn it off then, you're going to leave it off. You're going to put it right back in here, and then you're going to use your ferro rod, you're going to get back so you don't get the flare up in your face, and you're going to light it. Now that little bit of burn that's going on right now is going to heat that rod up. When that flame's almost out, you can go ahead and turn this thing on. If it's colder out, you might have to do this a couple times, but you can turn this on at some point here. And if you saw that, the flame just kicked up. Now it's still got to get hotter before it'll give us a real good blue flame, but that won't take too long here. But if I had tried to start this without doing a little bit of warm up on it, I'd end up getting a puddle of liquid fuel down in the bottom of this mixing chamber here, and then what happens is you end up getting flare-ups coming out of the liquid fuel chamber here. And actually I think I just let it go out there, so turn it back on and light her up again there. And you see I didn't have to get real close. I was all the way back here. You can strike it from back here to get these stoves lit. Same thing with, like I said, the isopropane butane stoves that have the little canister you screw on the bottom, and other liquid stoves too. I'll show you. I got another backpacking stove here I can show you, but you let this warm up until that flame starts to get blue, and then you'll adjust it accordingly. In the dark you can really see when the flame gets nice. You won't be able to see it very well here in the daytime. So, and by the way, for those who don't know, you just use a nice machine oil. You could use swamp cooler bearing oil, you could use a full synthetic motor oil in here or whatever. Just any quality oil you can use in this cup. You don't have to use any special oil. So there we go. We're up to heat. We got a nice clean burning flame there, and that's all it takes. So I forgot to turn my microphone on, and so this may not line up exactly, but we'll give it a shot. This is my backpacking stove here. It's an ultralight fold-out thing, and right there is the fuel tube where the fuel gets heated up and turned from a liquid into a gas, and then the jet pushes it up in there and mixes with air. There's also a little fuel bowl down in the bottom here that will catch some extra fuel. which will help in the heating process of the stove. So while the stove's cold, I turn it on here, and I let some fuel get squirted up into the top and the bottom there. Most of it collects on the top and then drips down into the bottom. And then this will work no matter how cold it is, and if it's raining, this will work too. There we go. Now that rod is actually really long right next to the flame there. This thing heats up pretty fast. I put a little too much fuel in it here, so it takes a little bit for it to burn off. And also what I'm saying here is I have a windscreen, which I didn't pull out of the bag that this goes in. It's about 6 or 8 inches tall, fits a big old pot inside of it. So would be using that if I were camping, trying to get this going. I'd have the windscreen up. But for the sake of the video, we're not using it. So as the flame dies down, we start to warm up. I start to give a little gas, and real quick here, actually, it's going to take on a nice clean blue flame, and there it goes. It is burning cleaner and cleaner every second now, and really heating that rod up. And you can't hear it, unfortunately, but it sounds just like a jet boil if you've ever heard one of those. It's just what it sounds like now. And that's all there is to it there. When you shut this off, it will take a minute to die down, just like all of these do, and there still will be liquid fuel in that entire line there. So you don't want to disconnect stuff from it until that stove is completely cooled down, because this stuff is super flammable. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you here is with this Coleman lantern I've got. It's not really practical to try to get a spark in there with one of these. You'd have to take the top off, which is not impossible. You could just pull this and pull the lid and then start it up, but it'd be a little hot trying to get this put all back together. And if it were raining, it'd be raining inside the lantern, so you don't want that. Best solution I've found for this, Coleman actually makes a little striker here that bolts into one of the match holes on the lantern, and then it's got a sparker up there, just like on a cigarette lighter. You just gotta give it a twist. I had it on the other side next to the knob. It was a little too close to the knob. It was hard to twist it, so I moved it over here. All the lanterns that Coleman has 2 match holes, so I don't know which one will work better for you. But basically you just turn your lantern on, and as soon as the gas air mixture gets right, this thing will ignite. It'll probably take a few strikes. There it goes, a couple strikes and we're lit, and it heats up real quick. It's already a little warm out here today, so there wasn't as much flaming, but this has the same thing as those stoves do, right in the inside. This is an air pocket here. You can see I can cover up the hole and we get too much fuel. But right next to that is that rod that gasifies the liquid gas on its way up, and that's why it's right next to the heat source again. You can see, so it gets real hot and it burns real efficient. So, and again, when I turn this one off, same thing as those other ones. It takes some time to die down because there's liquid gas still in this tube that the heat is liquefying, the heat is turning into gas and pushing it out. Anyways, I hope you learned something today, and this makes your camping easier and more enjoyable. And don't forget to check out the video where I talk about my different ferro rods, what I like them for, and which one I use. Thanks.